It was December 25th, 2015. Um, my son didn't tell me he was going to the store, and he went with his older brother to the store across the street, and he went in his scooter that he got for Christmas because he was so excited, and he also got money, so he wanted to go to the store with his brother without my permission. And I saw my son coming to me with my son's shoe, Jai's shoe, in his hand. And he was like, Jai got hit by a car. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no. And then my son's like, yes, with his shoe in his hand. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, I ran out. When I saw my son in the floor, it was just like, wow. So it was hard. It was like the hardest thing to see. See him in the floor. It was scary. Sorry. Yeah, um that's very scary for any parent to see their son unconscious in the floor, and you can't even touch him. You can't even help. Just stay there, just like everybody else. It's hard. They were trying to stabilize him, and his heart kept going down. And then seeing his face and I couldn't even barely see his face because everything was just bloody, and he had stuff in his face and tubes and stuff like that all over. And then he had the thing in his neck, and it was just like, wow. He got in there on the 25th for the accident. 3 days later, they did surgery because they had to stabilize him first before he could have got into surgery. So 3 days later, they stabilized him, and then he could have got surgery. He got his surgery. It went fast, and I was so like nervous at first because it was like a very dangerous procedure. So I was very scared because the moving part when you have to move them. But after that, I felt a little relieved. He didn't respond it completely into January 1st. That's when he actually opened his eyes and he called my name. You know, he said, Mommy, where's Mommy? So once that happened, it was like, wow, everything, it was hard because he couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat, he didn't, he was acting so different of how he was. But little by little, he was starting to eat, he started to walk. I was seeing his progress. It was hurting because he was hurting, but he did it so good and so quick. Like in 1 month, he was out. So it was like, wow, you did that. Like you really did that. So I tell him, I was like, you made me very proud. I was like, you have no idea. Like I never seen somebody get hit by a car and just in 1 month start walking and talking and like nothing happened. So yeah, that's why I say he's my miracle baby. He is, because he's been through so much and he's still a happy boy. Jaya's behavior has changed since the accident. He's been more aggressive. He not only aggressive, but his personality changed. Like he used to be shy. He's not shy no more. He speaks his mind now. But with that comes that he doesn't have no filter on top of it. So yeah, it's kind of different. He would just attack one of his brothers or sisters, and then I got a son that's autistic, so it's just like they'll get into it, and then it's just overwhelming because I don't know what to do, and I didn't know what, like, you know, like I don't want him to get hurt because of what the doctors told me. So it's very scary to just see him getting into anybody to get into an argument or anything. It's scary to me. It affects because you don't know what to expect, especially when he's out, when Jel is out, outside in school, and I'm not there, and I don't know how he's gonna react, and I can't protect him from other people because he doesn't have a filter, and people don't know what he's went through or doesn't know what he's going through. So it's just hard because I can't be there to protect them. So it's hard. The way I help Jael to deal with that, it'll be I'll talk to him, but I also it's kind of hard because it's really like even though you talk to him and stuff like that, he still don't like he doesn't get it. So it's just I talk to him and everything, it's hard. It's I try so many times and it's just he still does it and he doesn't understand because he'll be like, oh, but he'll make like an excuse or he think like he's right and it's like, I'm sorry, baby, but no, you can't do that. So, but I mean, the medication have helped so a little bit. So he's been doing pretty good this year in school. So I don't have no problems as of yet. I think it was the medication because even if I talk to him, it's like he doesn't get it type thing. But I think the medication have helped. He's been a little bit more calm and he doesn't react like too explosive sometimes, and he sometimes don't react the way he acts when he doesn't have the medication. So that helps. I deal with my stress. I tell you the truth, I just listen to music. Music's been like a really big help, not only for me but for Jared too. Like me and him could just drown in music all day, and it helps, and he loves it, and we have our family time, and I take them out, and that helps also. And I'm this don't let this fool you. Like I could be like I could look fine, but it gets stressful. It gets very stressful. When he really loses control, I just, hold him, hug him, and, just be like, it's okay. Like, like if you have to tell me something, you could come to me. I'm always going to be there. No matter if you're right or wrong, like, I'm always going to be there. Like, I'm your mom, and, sometimes he'd be like, oh, and sometimes I do give him his space because, sometimes they need that. They need their space. So I give him his space and then he comes around to me and he tells me whatever is bothering him and we fix it. We fix as much as we can. Like when I see like I'm talking to him or I trying to hug him and he try to push me away, um, what I do is just like, okay, I just leave him alone for a little bit and he goes to his room and stuff like that. And he will just probably be like 30 minutes, listen to his music, and then he'll come to me. And then he'll tell me what's wrong with him, and then we talk about it, and he does pretty good with it. When he needs a break, he takes his own break. Like, I could be downstairs with a whole bunch of like my kids and other kids, and he'll like go to the room upstairs and listen to some music. Like music, I notice music to him, it's like his therapy, and he just that's what he does. He goes to his room and he put the headphones on. He usually go under the bed type thing, and then he'll put his headphones, and then that's his time, like his alone time. And he doesn't really like to get bothered. I don't bother him. Nobody does. He does his thing, and I let him. And then he comes back. He, shares with everybody else, and then he goes back. It did affect his friendships in school, especially due to that. They are scared of him because they don't know what to expect from him. Because he screams. He'll pull, like he'll sometimes try to like slam his head in the stuff, or he'll throw stuff. He got suspended because of it. So, or he'll get aggressive towards the kids, so they be scared of him sometimes. And it's like, he has scars. That's another thing. He has scars. He has bald spots. And that really, like, it hurts. because people make fun of him and he doesn't know how to deal with it. And the first thing he does is get angry and he wants to hit somebody. So it's hurtful to see that. What I tell Yael when he feels like that, and I just be like, baby, don't worry. Like, you are strong. Like, nobody understands what you've been through, only you. You know, like, you a fighter. You're my hero, you know, because you fought so many things, like, you know, leukemia. You know, he fought that and that accident. Like, he could have not be here. And he, you know, in 1 month he was walking, and 1 month he was talking and all that. Like, that was not expected, and he did it. I was like, you have to be proud of yourself. There's no way you cannot feel proud of yourself because you did so good. So I tell him that every day, and he gets confidence about that. So it does help. He can't do a lot of things that he used to, and he can't play football. He can't play all these games that he wants to play. In wintertime, he had to be inside, you know, inside the class. So it's just like, he's like, why me? You know, and it's hard. He got one best friend, and he's been a good friend. His friend understands him, so he gives him his space. And actually, it's been working out. Like, he's been pretty good. Like, that's why I call it best friend, because he understands him, and no matter what, like, they still friends. And I like that, because, you know, I see my son happy, and he goes to his house, and he, you know, and he feels like normal, and I like that. They know each other from school. Me and the parents, we talked, and, you know, we got our numbers and whatever. They know everything about Jaed, so they keep an eye on him, and it's been working out. It's been good. I feel like I have to parent differently. Like, I have to talk to him in a certain way that I used to, you know, before I just talk to him more rough, you know, and I don't do that because, you know, it's just he will, it's not, he doesn't react the same way as he used to, you know, and I don't want him to you know, get him more aggressive or anything like that. So yeah, I learned how to talk to him in a different way. I've been taking classes, so that's been, to tell you the truth, that's been really a help. They told me not to, like, scream because that would make him more agitated. So I learned how to calm myself down first before talking to him, and that's helped. I think, like, once you get that going, everything else falls in place. It's a different way of talking to him, and it actually had worked with all my kids. Like, it's better. It's true. You can't be screaming at kids because they will get more agitated. So it had worked. I have picked my battles with him because it's just, I don't want to stress nobody out. I don't want to stress myself out. So I just be like, okay, it's not worth it. Like, I could just pick it up myself, or, you know, I could just do it myself, or I could figure out something later, or I could tell him something later, or, you know, like something like that. And it have worked. I mean, things have gotten easier with help from support. There was somebody coming to my home and working with my whole family, because I was very depressed. I was just like, I don't know what to do. And those classes really actually helped me with all my kids and how to speak to them and how to react and how to, because I was a mess. I'm not gonna lie. I was a mess. I got help from a worker, a social worker, and they'll come to your home and they will work with not only myself and my son, but with my whole family. So me and my kids. And it's just, they'll put, like, you know, like, they'll make a plan, and then I will have to follow the plan. And it's like everything is a schedule, and everything works. When he does something bad, when Jai does something bad, I do take things away. And I explain to him why I took things away. And he doesn't like it, but that's what parenting is. You can't always, they ain't always gonna like what you do, but it's the best for them. So I do take things away. When I do take things away, um, he gets mad at me, of course, but then later on he doesn't be doing the same thing that sometimes does. He does because I guess he forgets or whatever. But other than that, yeah, he does listen, and then he doesn't really do things like that. Sometimes he does, but not all the time, not constantly. In school right now, they just called me. Actually, yesterday they did call me that they're gonna give him more time for like math and reading because I guess he's been having a lot of difficulties. So they are helping him. They're giving him more time to spend a one-on-one with him um, to get more out of the math and reading. So they've been very helpful, and also like due to his head injury, like on PE classes, he'll go to certain classes that he'll be able to do, but when they see like it's something like with balls or things flying over the head type thing, they'll put him in a different room and they give him a different type of activity for him to do. So they do work with me, with him type thing. So it helps that they've been good. If he forget his homework, they don't really be, but I guess that's why they have that one-on-one with him so they could do all his homework in school, because I think that's what they're doing. They're doing all the homeworks in school because he doesn't bring homework, and I haven't had no problem with him about the homework. So they helping him inside the school with it, so that helps. That's why I said they've been very good. What keeps me positive is faith. I've been very, like, that's been like the most helpful thing that I have, faith in God. Because I've already been through a lot with Giant. It's just been a roller coaster. And just faith, believing in God. And I know God got my kid, my son. So it's just, that's what keeps me positive in a lot of things, situations that I be going through. I do use a schedule for all my kids. And once I do the schedule, they're not cranky, they're not acting up, they're good. And so I love schedules. Schedules are the best thing for moms. Yes, it works. It's good. Schedule should always be for all the kids. Like, it works. Because if you don't have them in a schedule, because it had happened that I don't keep a schedule, and they'll be cranky, they'll be acting up, they'll be doing too much. So, yes, schedule is definitely something that it should be done for all kids. Yeah, I definitely have to um, tell him what he have to do, because he does forget. He not things for a long time, like things that happened like a year or 2 years, like he'll remember, but things like recently, like I have to tell him what to do because he will forget. Like he be spaced out, thinking about something else. Like if I tell him, um, oh, because he will forget, like when he goes to his friend, he'll forget his glasses at his friend. And I'm like, baby, you need your glasses. You have to bring your glasses back because you need them. He's like, okay, I will remember. He comes back, what happened to your glasses? He doesn't remember. So I'll have to like write him down a letter or something so he knows like you have to bring it back. One of the things that have worked for me, to keep talking to the school, tell them how you feel about certain things. Because if you don't talk to the school about these things, they will not address it. Like I was concerned about the balls flying in his head type thing, and they did something about it. He could play with the kids, but once they have like certain sports like balls flying in in the head type thing, then it's like okay, then he could go to a different room. So they just talk to the school, talk to whoever's there that's with him all the time, or with their children, to talk to them about the concerns, and they will actually work with you. I really am a person that speaks my mind. So if I feel like my son is not getting the care that he needs, I will definitely speak out. But definitely speak out, because best for your children and for yourself, because you don't have to be stressing about these situations. When I get stressed, I I just feel it. Like I get hot. I get I just sometimes I feel like crying. Um, and then I just get like this feeling like, oh my God, like why is this happening to me? Like I start shaking, and it's just like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. Yeah, it's not the best feeling ever. I manage it by just being quiet. Just quiet, and then I'm just like, okay, this is just gonna pass. This is just temporarily, like it's gonna get better. I know it's hard to be, to deal with a situation like this, but it's not impossible. Patience, like patience and schedules and love. I think that's the best way to deal with a situation like this. You know, um, it's been 2 years, and seeing my son smile and walk and, you know, talk and everything that they told me that he couldn't, is just like, wow. So I say patience, love, and all that, like schedules, that helps big time, because it does get stressful for any parent, but especially for someone that has a TBI son or kid or whatever, it's more stressful because you don't know what's gonna come out of it, or you don't know like how they're gonna react in certain situations. So patience, a lot of patience. The favorite thing about Yael, he is very helpful. He's caring. He loves to help people. And it's like, wow, my baby, even though he went through all this, he wants to help. He wants to help people. He wants to, teach them how to read to people. He wants to, if anything, anybody's going through something, he's like, oh, can I help? Or he sees somebody fixing something, he wants to help. He doesn't care who it is. He just want to help. And I love that about him. He's so caring. He's happy. He goes through his little episodes, but other than that, he's a very happy boy, and he wants to help. He wants to help other people, and it's like, wow, you got it that hard. Like, it's like, wow. Like, I'm so proud of him. And I tell him all the time, like, I'm so proud of you. You're my hero, because everything you have done is just amazing. Yeah, he is. He's my miracle baby. I always say that.